Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and wondered if you will outlive your savings? It is a heavy thought that many of us carry as we cross the threshold of 60. We look at our bank accounts and we see a number that feels finite. We look at our children and we feel a deep desire to never become a financial burden to them. We want to be the ones providing the blessings and the wisdom, not the ones asking for help with a medical bill or a grocery run. It is the fear of losing that independence that keeps us awake when the world is quiet. Most people think that retiring with dignity requires a stroke of luck or a secret investment tip that no one else knows. They think you need to be a genius trader or have a direct line to a hedge fund manager on Wall Street. But the truth is much quieter and far more powerful than that. There is a machine that has been running in the background of the global economy since 1974. It does not care about your emotions or your political leanings. It does not care about the latest scandal or the headlines designed to make you panic for clicks. This machine has survived every market crash and every economic collapse for over 50 years. And while everyone else is frantically trying to find the next big thing, this machine is silently compounding wealth for the people who have the courage to do absolutely nothing. If you are tired of the noise and you are looking for a way to protect your future in this uncertain world of 2026, then you are in the right place. Before we dive into the mechanics of this silent wealth protector, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Sharing your thoughts in the comments helps us reach more people who need this peace of mind. So feel free to say hello or share your own journey. Now, let us look at the reality of the world we are living in today. It is 2026, and the financial landscape has changed significantly over the last few years. We have moved past the aggressive interest rate hikes that defined 2023 and 2024. The Federal Reserve has finally allowed the dust to settle, but the cost of living remains at a level that many of us never expected to see. Inflation has left its mark on everything, from the price of eggs to the cost of healthcare. For the typical household headed by someone around age 62, the median retirement savings sit between $185,000 and $200,000. On the surface, $200,000 might sound like a decent cushion for someone who has worked hard their whole life. But when you apply the math of a long retirement, that number starts to look very different, and perhaps even dangerous. If you follow the conservative 4% withdrawal rule, a $200,000 portfolio only gives you about $8,000 per year. That is less than $700 per month. Even with Social Security providing a baseline, that kind of income does not offer the freedom or the security we all dreamed of. It certainly does not allow for the travel or the spontaneous gifts for the grandkids that make retirement meaningful. The problem is not that people did not work hard enough or that they did not care about their future. The problem is that they were never taught how to use the machine correctly. They spent their lives as hunters, chasing after hot stocks or trying to time the market based on what they heard on the evening news. They were told that to get ahead, they had to be clever, they had to be fast, and they had to be lucky. But the real winners in this game are not the hunters. They are the gatherers, the people who stop trying to beat the market and start trying to capture it in its entirety. The machine I am talking about is the Standard & Poor's 500 Index. Whether you hold it through a fund from Vanguard, State Street, or BlackRock, it is essentially the same engine. But most people do not understand what this index actually is. They think it is just a list of 500 large companies. In reality, it is a wealth extraction system disguised as a passive investment vehicle. Let me explain why this matters so much for you right now in 2026. As of December 2025, there was over $14 trillion directly invested in or benchmarked to the Standard & Poor's 500. $14 trillion is an amount of capital so massive that it creates its own gravity. When a company becomes successful enough to be added to this list, the machine is mechanically required to buy its shares. It does not matter if the price is high or low, or if the news cycle is positive or negative. The machine just buys because the rules dictate it must. And when a company starts to fail, when its management becomes lazy or its products become irrelevant, the machine mechanically spits it out. Think of it as a garden that pulls its own weeds and plants its own flowers without you ever having to lift a finger or pull a single weed. It is a self-cleaning, self-correcting organism that rewards the survivors and punishes the failures. This is why it is so much more effective than hiring a professional portfolio manager with a fancy office and an expensive suit. Data shows that over 15-year periods, more than 92% of professional fund managers fail to beat this simple index. These are people with doctorates in economics, high-speed fiber optic connections to the stock exchange, and direct access to company executives. And yet, they lose to a simple, automated list that costs almost nothing to own. In 2026, this machine has become even more important because of the fundamental shift in our economy toward intelligent systems. We are currently seeing massive spending on artificial intelligence infrastructure across the globe. Estimates suggest that over $500 billion will be spent on this technology over the next few years alone. And here is the secret that the financial media rarely discusses. 70% of that spending flows directly into the pockets of the companies within the Standard & Poor's 500. When you own this index, you own the infrastructure of the future. You own the computer chips, the data centers, and the software that will drive the next 30 years of human progress. You own the energy independence of the United States through its massive utility and energy sectors. You own the global brands that people in Tokyo, London, and New York rely on every single day. You are no longer betting on a single outcome or a single visionary leader. You are betting on the collective ingenuity and the survival instinct of the human race. But why is it so hard for people to just buy this index and hold it for the long term? The answer lies in the deep recesses of our own psychology. Our biggest fear as investors is not actually losing money, though we tell ourselves it is. It is the fear of looking stupid. It is the fear of being the person who owns a boring index fund while your neighbor is bragging at a barbecue about making 40% on a random cryptocurrency or a penny stock. We have been conditioned by a loud and aggressive culture to believe that success must be complicated and frantic. We feel like we need to be doing something, checking the charts every hour, or adjusting our strategy to feel like we are in control. But in the world of investing, your activity is almost always the enemy of your returns. Every time you sell in a panic during a market dip, you are essentially transferring your hard-earned wealth to the people who stayed calm. This happened in 2008, when people thought the banking system was over. It happened in 2020 during the global pandemic, when the world shut down. And it will happen again in the future. The people who did nothing during those crashes saw their wealth double or triple in the years that followed. The people who sold locked in their losses and spent years trying to find the right time to get back in, usually missing the most explosive parts of the recovery. If you want to reach a point where you have $1 million or even $2 million in your retirement account, you have to embrace the art of being still. The math is quite simple if you give it enough time and stay out of your own way. If you start with $40,000 and add just $1,000 per month into this index, and it returns its historical average of 10%, you could see your portfolio grow to nearly $4 million over 35 years. But even if you are starting later in life, the power of compounding is still your best and most loyal friend. Once you hit the first few $100,000, the growth starts to accelerate in a way that feels like magic. A 10% gain on a $50,000 portfolio is just $5,000. But a 10% gain on a $500,000 portfolio is $50,000 in a single year. That is a full-time salary for many people, earned by doing absolutely nothing but existing and being patient. This is what I call the second you, a digital version of yourself that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never takes a vacation. It never gets sick. It never complains, and it never asks for a raise. When you have that second you working for you, the stress of the workplace starts to fade away. You do not feel trapped in a job you dislike because you know your protector is growing in the background. You do not feel the need to chase risky bets because you trust the mechanical certainty of the machine. As we look toward the rest of 2026, The economic indicators are pointing toward a period of relative stability. Interest rates have leveled off. Corporate earnings are showing strong growth. And the technological revolution is providing a powerful tailwind. This is not a time to be clever or to try and outsmart the world. This is a time to be disciplined and to trust the system. The most successful investors are often the ones who have the least amount of information about the daily movements of the market. They are the ones who set up an automatic contribution from their bank account and then go back to living their lives. They focus on their families, their hobbies, their health, and their community. They understand that their wealth is a tool for freedom, not a scorecard for their ego. If you haven't already, I encourage you to take a hard look at your current strategy. Are you paying high fees to a manager who is consistently underperforming the market? Are you holding on to individual stocks because of an emotional attachment or a tip you heard at work? It might be time to simplify your life and your finances. It might be time to let the silent machine take over the heavy lifting so you can enjoy your golden years. Remember, the goal is not to be the richest person in the cemetery. The goal is to have enough resources to live your life on your own terms, to be able to travel when you want, to eat where you want, and to support the causes that matter to you. Most importantly, the goal is the peace of mind that comes from knowing you are prepared for whatever comes next. The world will always have problems, and the news will always find something to be afraid of. But the companies in the Standard & Poor's 500 have a vested interest in solving those problems and finding new ways to create value. When you invest in them, you are aligning yourself with the most productive forces on the planet. Before we conclude this discussion, I want to remind you to engage with our community here. Please like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe so you do not miss our future deep dives into financial security and long-term wealth building. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us keep providing this information for free to those who need it most. If you have a story about your own experience with index investing or a lesson you have learned over the years, please leave a comment below. We love hearing from you and learning from your collective wisdom. As we move forward into this new era, do not let the noise and the chaos of the world distract you from the simple truths. Wealth is built through patience, not through panic or constant movement. Security is found in proven systems, not in secrets or hidden shortcuts. The Standard & Poor's 500 is not just a financial investment. It is a testament to the fact that the world keeps moving forward, and you deserve to move forward with it in confidence. Trust the process that has worked for decades. Trust the math that does not lie. And most of all, trust yourself to stay the course even when it feels difficult. The silent money machine is ready and waiting to work for you. All you have to do is take the first step, and then let it do what it does best. Thank you for spending this valuable time with me today. I wish you peace, prosperity, and a future filled with abundance and security. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and I will see you in the next one.